In an interview, Dr. Aranda explains that a supermoon is an event that occurs when a full moon is in its closest orbit to the Earth. It can happen multiple times a year, but last year was different. During that supermoon, 1 billion people violently transformed into werewolves for the entire night. They don't know what caused this change, but there's another supermoon happening tonight, so Aranda advises everyone to stay inside and don't get exposed. He also promises that scientists are working round the clock to find a cure for those already infected. Meanwhile, Wesley is taking care of his sister-in-law Lucy and niece Emma after his brother's death. Using his knowledge as a former military man, Wesley spends the entire day building traps to protect the house from werewolves. Bear traps are spread in the garden, pepper spray and electric wires are connected to the fence, security cameras are installed in every corner, and barbed wire covers the roof. While working, Wesley notices that the neighbor Cody is practicing his shooting and calls him out because there are children on the streets. However, Cody doesn't care. He wants to train because he's seen that the werewolves are already terrorizing Japan and Australia. At the same time, another neighbor named Reagan brings some cookies to cheer Emma up since today's the anniversary of her father's death. To thank her, Lucy gives her some extra batteries and pepper spray. After Reagan leaves, Wesley announces the house must be locked for the rest of the day and goes over the rules with Lucy again. They must not open the door for anyone, not make any noise, not draw attention, and not hesitate to shoot. Since Wesley works for the Centers for Disease Control or CDC, he's on duty tonight and apologizes to Emma and Lucy for leaving. Once he's gone, Lucy locks all the doors and windows. Downtown, the military has taken over the streets. A curfew is about to start, so buses are picking homeless people to send them to shelters. Wesley suspects any person who looks strange and cringes at the pessimistic signs. When Wesley makes it to the CDC facility, Aranda introduces him to the press as the leader of the Global Rapid Response Team and lead molecular biologist. The second in command is Evan, and Amy is chief canis lupus biologist and behavioralist. Aranda explains that the supermoon triggers rapid DNA mutation and is photosensitive to moonlight. Tonight the CDC hopes to find a way to block this mutation, and so far they've developed a liquid called moonscreen which should act as a barrier between the moonlight and DNA. If it goes well, it could be developed into a cure. He finishes the conference by reminding everyone to stay inside. Afterward, everyone goes inside the facility and all the exit points are sealed. Amy watches the arrival of her boyfriend Miles, who transformed into a werewolf last year. She remembers their last kiss and how he assured her that volunteering for the experiment was his choice. Miles is put inside a cage and chained up as a precaution since werewolves can feel when there's a supermoon coming. Wesley, Evan, and the other scientists put on special suits that have digital screens on the visors showing the vitals of their test subjects. The scientists put moonscreen drops on the volunteers' eyes, then they spray their whole bodies with moonscreen as well. One of the test subjects is starting to have second thoughts because she's scared, but her concerns are ignored. Miles tries to calm her down while the last two volunteers are already going crazy with excitement. Then the ceiling is open to let the moonlight in, but none of the test subjects transforms, which means the moonscreen works. Aranda immediately orders the team to take samples to start working on a cure. Wesley and Aranda look at the samples and notice the mutation is some kind of immunological defense system. They conclude the supermoon is triggering a dormant defense response, but they can't understand why it only became reactive last year. Suddenly Miles starts transforming, which means the effect of the moonscreen only lasts 60 minutes. Evan pushes the machine to try to spray him again, but Miles reaches through the bars to grab it and Evan freezes. At that moment the other test subjects start to transform too. As Amy orders her assistants to close the ceiling, Miles pushes the spraying machine, which crashes against a cage and a bunch of equipment. This triggers a short circuit that messes with the power and stops the ceiling from fully closing. The test subjects continue to transform into terrifying beasts while many of the machines begin exploding and spreading the damage. Most scientists start to run, but Aranda's suit is damaged by one of the explosions and his body is exposed to the moonlight, so his DNA is starting to react too. Wesley holds Aranda down while Evan searches for a tranquilizer, but unfortunately he isn't fast enough. Aranda finishes transforming and his new hairy body breaks out of the protective suit, slashing Evan with his claws in the process. Then a scientist opens fire and the werewolf runs away, but some stray bullets open more cages. While Wesley takes a bleeding Evan into another room, the other werewolves also escape and start killing the armed scientists. Between the smoke from the explosion and the power failing, it's hard to see in the room, so one by one the scientists are snatched in the darkness. A werewolf picks up an armed man and throws it at the window to break it, creating an exit. In the corridors, the rest of the staff is trying to evacuate, but soon the werewolves reach this area too and keep on killing. After being startled by a falling body, Amy reunites with Wesley and Evan. While they struggle with the infirmary lock, a werewolf drops another body nearby and begins approaching them. Luckily they unlock the door just in time and rush into the infirmary before a soldier opens fire, finally killing this beast. Then Wesley and Amy try to take care of Evan's wound, but it's too late, he's lost too much blood and died. Amy freaks out and wants to find Miles, but Wesley stops her as he points out her boyfriend is now a violent monster and she can't do anything. When Amy says they should stay in the infirmary and wait for help, Wesley informs her that the rest of the staff is already evacuated and is just a matter of time before one of the other werewolves breaks the door. Back in town, howling can be heard in the neighborhood and the lights flicker as power starts to malfunction. Reagan can't find her mother but hears some weird noises, unaware there's a werewolf in the kitchen. Lucy checks the security cameras and sees another beast running down the street. The werewolf climbs a tree in the garden and Cody opens fire from his window. All his shots miss and the werewolf approaches the house to break the window, letting the moonlight in. Now Cody's DNA reacts and he begins transforming too. In the facility, Amy and Wesley carefully sneak around to avoid the werewolves until they make it to the armory, where they suit up and grab as many weapons as they can carry. Then they put moonscreen in their eyes and spray any exposed skin before setting 60 minutes on their watches. Wesley makes Amy promise that if either of them turns, the other will shoot. On their way out they come across Miles, so Amy shoots a light bulb to distract him with the sparks while they escape. The duo gets in Wesley's car and drives off as fast as possible. Wesley calls Lucy and she shares what she's seen on the cameras. At that moment Reagan appears outside, begging Lucy to let her in because a werewolf killed her mother and she doesn't want to be alone. Lucy wants to help but Wesley reminds her that opening the door is dangerous. While they argue, a werewolf attacks Reagan and quickly kills her too. Since Wesley is distracted by the phone call, he ends up crashing the car into a bus. The call ends and Lucy has a panic attack while hearing Reagan screams as she's murdered. The werewolf attacking her is Cody, who pushes his body against the fence to activate the electric trap. Lucy sees him on the cameras and activates the pepper spray to keep him at bay. In the car, Amy and Wesley begin crawling out before the flames reach them. Wesley realizes he dropped his phone but there's no time to go back for it and Amy has to drag him away. Now the duo has no choice but to continue on foot and make sure to stay hidden when they find some werewolves destroying a bunch of cars. They carefully move behind some parked vehicles to keep advancing, but unfortunately more beasts appear on the other end of the street and now the duo is surrounded. To take cover, they hide under a car and make an effort to stay silent while the wolves keep on breaking things. The beast even sniffs their car, but luckily it doesn't find them and soon the wolves leave the street. When Amy and Wesley come out, the watch alarm goes off to remind them they need to take moonscreen again. The werewolves hear this and start chasing after them, so the duo has to run. Amy notices a mall's gate's about to close, so they hurry up and slide under the gate right before it touches the ground, leaving the furious werewolves outside. There's a kid there who asks them to follow him, and as the duo does so, they notice a bunch of people locked behind the different store gates. Wesley realizes this is a market with underground tunnels that they could use to cross the city safely. Suddenly a blade appears on Amy's neck and the masked people who live down here threaten to attack. A desperate Wesley explains he only wants to reach his family, so the mysterious group agrees to guide them to the tunnel entrance. Meanwhile Lucy checks the cameras again and discovers Cody has been howling to summon more werewolves. Minutes later Amy and Wesley finish crossing the tunnel, but before they can open the exit gate a werewolf appears behind them. The duo tries opening fire, only for the werewolf to knock them down before it starts throwing Wesley around. When he falls to the ground, he finds a metal pipe and uses it to stab the werewolf, who spits blood all over Wesley before it drops dead. Now he and Amy can keep going and make it to the door, but they need to reapply moonscreen first. Unfortunately the liquid has become too hot to be effective now. Noticing a store open nearby, the duo covers themselves with some tarp and runs to storm into the building. They break the door in the process and the alarm activates, so Amy rushes to destroy it before it could alert the werewolves. Then Wesley puts the moonscreen in the fridge and now they have to wait. Minutes later, Wesley hears a strange sound and follows it to find a child in the store. To his shock, the kid is also transformed and is now eating a cat. He doesn't dare to shoot the child, but luckily Amy has a teaser and quickly knocks the creature out. In town, the beasts find a way to destroy half of the cameras in Lucy's home. Then they begin pushing their big bodies against the fence to activate the electric trap, which causes the lights in the house to malfunction. Hearing the noises Lucy gets a weapon ready before checking the remaining cameras. The werewolves push down a tree that falls on the fence, destroying the power lines in the process. Now the entire house is dark, but Wesley left his family plenty of flashlights. As Lucy and Emma run around the house to turn on as many lights as possible, the werewolves cross the fence and one of them gets its leg stuck in a bear trap. Soon Lucy can hear them climbing on the roof, so she runs from room to shoot at the ceiling and stop the beasts from going further inside. It seems to be working, but she eventually runs out of bullets and must risk a pause to reload. Back to Amy and Wesley, they return to the street after taking the cooled moonscreen. They come across a group of people in gear shooting at the werewolves in the area with impressive efficiency, using teamwork and heavy weaponry to keep the beasts at bay. Once the werewolves are gone or dead, Amy and Wesley try asking these people for help. However, they don't believe that the duo is protected by some mysterious liquid and an argument ensues. Suddenly a werewolf reappears and kills one of the men, so his partners open fire. Wesley and Amy run to take cover behind a car while another warrior is captured by a beast and gets his face eaten. A stray bullet blows up the car window and leaves Amy dizzy for a few minutes, so Wesley has to protect her and shoot at an incoming werewolf. An extra big werewolf jumps off a roof and causes an explosion on a light post before landing in the middle of the street. A man in a truck immediately opens fire, but the wolf uses a human body as a shield before throwing it to knock the guy off the truck. As the guy is dragged under the vehicle to be eaten, Amy realizes the wolves are forming a kill circle, so they need to leave before they're surrounded. Wanting to test a theory, Amy volunteers to be a distraction. She comes out of hiding and yells to get the attention of the wolves. The big one smells her and punches her in the stomach, but doesn't kill her. She screams at it and the wolf roars back, giving Wesley time to jump on the truck and open fire. It takes a lot of bullets, but he manages to take down the big werewolf and the other beasts run away in fear. Then Wesley jumps into the driver's seat and tells Amy to join him. However, when she comes closer, a hairy hand takes her away. A devastated Wesley looks out but can't see her, and he realizes he doesn't have the time to save her. Feeling guilty, he drives away. Meanwhile, Lucy continues to shoot at the werewolves through the ceiling while telling Emma to stay hidden. When a werewolf reaches the area above the living room, Lucy shoots again and opens a big hole in the ceiling, so now moonlight is coming in. The wolf moves to the front door and starts shaking it, so Lucy shoots at it and makes more holes until she runs out of bullets. Getting desperate, Lucy grabs a knife for herself and the bear deterrent spray for Emma. At that moment, a werewolf breaks the wood covering a window and finally enters the house, so Emma and Lucy run to hide in the bedroom. The werewolf follows its nose and is about to find them, but it goes back when it hears a noise outside. It's Wesley honking the horn at the four beasts blocking the street. He speeds up in the truck and starts running over the wolves one by one under the rain. The last creature jumps on the truck to try to stop it, so Wesley crashes the truck right into Cody's garage. In the bedroom, Lucy and Emma think it's over, but before they can leave, a werewolf breaks through the wall. The duo runs and Lucy pushes Emma inside a closet before she hides behind a door with her knife. A wolf finds Emma first and breaks the wooden door, so she activates the spray to scare it off. At the same time, a second beast enters the other room and Lucy waits for the right moment to jump on it, but the wolf easily throws her on top of the dresser. Then Emma appears behind it and stabs it with the fallen knife, creating a distraction that allows Lucy to find an axe and use it to finally kill the creature. Seconds later, Wesley enters the house and reunites with his family. After making sure they're fine, he tells them to hide because they can hear the wolf from the garage coming. There are only 15 minutes left before sunrise and they have no bullets, so there's only a very crazy thing he can do. Wesley says goodbye to his family and gives Lucy his watch with a 15-minute alarm. When he steps outside, the Cody werewolf is waiting. He looks right at the moon and soon he starts transforming too, which is a sacrifice that proves how much he wants to protect his loved ones. After some roaring, Cody and Wesley start fighting. Even in wolf form, Wesley's military experience comes through and he easily overpowers Cody. In just a few moves, Wesley uses his bare paws to decapitate the enemy. Lucy watches all this through the holes in the wall and becomes terrified, so she rushes to hide Emma in the cupboard. At that moment, she finds a bullet on the ground and gets her weapon ready before she starts begging Wesley to remember his family. Her words aren't enough to stop him from bursting through a sealed back door, thus Lucy shows him a picture of his brother next. This doesn't work either and Wesley roars, making her fall. Lucy has no choice but to get ready to shoot, but suddenly the watch alarm goes off. Remembering Wesley's words, Lucy shoots at the window instead, allowing the sunlight to come in. When she looks up, Wesley is human again. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.